was staying at my grandma's house for the weekend, while she went to Florida with her church friends. I was sleeping in the guest room next to her bedroom. The guest room always had 2 small beds in it. My brother and I used to sleep in them when we had sleepovers at Grandma's house. I picked the bed next to the window. Before I got into bed, I checked all the doors to make sure they were locked. When I got into bed, it was still early and I couldn't fall asleep right away. There wasn't much to do at my grandma's house. I just played on my phone for an hour, watching videos and texting people. That's when I started hearing someone's voice outside. It sounded like a woman saying hello. I got out of bed and slowly walked toward the front door. I moved really slowly because I was trying to listen carefully. It was definitely a woman's voice just saying hello every 10 seconds or so. As I got closer to the front door, I could tell that's where the voice was coming from. My grandma's door doesn't have a little window to look through, but the windows in her dining room let you see the front porch clearly, so I went to that window to try to see who was out there. I tried to peek through the plastic window blinds without being obvious about it, but I guess I didn't do a good job hiding, because when I looked, I saw a woman standing on my grandma's front steps. She was looking right at me like she knew I was going to look through those blinds. She said hello again with a really creepy smile on her face. This woman was older, but don't think of her as some sweet little old lady. She looked like she was maybe in her late 50s or early 60s. Something about her face really creeped me out. I moved away from the window and thought maybe she was one of my grandma's friends. But it was midnight. Why would anyone come to the door that late? Why wouldn't she knock or ring the doorbell? Why was she just standing out there saying hello over and over? I was really scared. I just went back to the guest bedroom and shut the door. Now with the door closed, I couldn't hear that woman anymore. Maybe she decided to leave. I started texting everyone about it. My sisters, my friends, telling them how weird it was. A lot of time passed in silence and I was starting to feel better. My sisters were telling me to call Grandma, but there was no way she was awake. She barely ever checked her cell phone anyway. Just like that, something broke the silence. There was banging at the window. Not knocking or tapping, loud banging. I felt that scary pain in my chest as my body got ready to fight or run away. Right after the banging stopped, I heard that same voice say, hello. Hello. With all that fear making me feel stronger, I guess I had enough courage to grab the blinds and pull them up. There I was, face to face with this scary older lady, with only a thin piece of glass between us. I screamed at her gross smiling face, "I'm calling the cops." I pulled the blind back down and ran to the living room. I looked around the house, then ran upstairs to hide in the upstairs guest bedroom. I didn't actually want to call the cops. I don't know why. I just wanted to wait it out. I crawled into the bed in the upstairs guest room and hid under the covers. A couple hours later, I was still awake. Finally, I went back downstairs to look out each window. That creepy old lady seemed to be gone. The next morning, I called my grandma and told her what happened. She started yelling into the phone, clearly scared and upset. She told me that a few days earlier, she was being watched at the grocery store by some woman about 10 years younger than her. The woman just kept smiling at her for no reason. I told her to calm down. I wasn't sure if the two things were connected, but when we hung up, I had to think about it more. My grandma is 75 and she's lost some of her memory, so I have to be careful about believing everything she says. But the way she yelled into the phone about the woman in the store really scared me. I still wonder if it could have been the same person. My name is Nicholas. I'm a freshman at Syracuse University, which isn't exactly in the safest area. I just broke up with my first girlfriend, so I started using dating apps again. I was using Hinge when I found this blonde girl named Stephanie, who I really liked talking to. She also went to Syracuse. We both liked to read and go to movies. We even had the same sense of humor. I asked if we could go on a movie date and she said she'd love to. She told me to meet her at a specific spot near campus and she'd pick me up. So around 9 o'clock, I waited on the corner of a normal neighborhood street, waiting for Stephanie. She asked me to share my location with her on my phone, so I did. A few minutes later, I saw a car turn down the street and drive toward me. Then it stopped in front of me and the driver rolled down the window. It wasn't Stephanie though. It was some old random guy. He asked what I was doing alone out here, which was really weird. First, I said I was waiting for someone. He asked if I was waiting for Stephanie, and I said, yeah. How did you know? He said he was Stephanie's father and told me to get in so he could give me a ride to her. I took a good look at him, and he looked way too old to be her father. I'm not stupid when it comes to dangerous situations, so I said in a strong voice, why didn't Stephanie tell me you'd be picking me up? He said he didn't trust some random guy meeting up with his daughter and wanted to meet me first. I looked at the man again and didn't say anything. I just started walking away in the opposite direction from where his car was pointing. He started yelling, hey, hey, sounding surprised that I was just walking away like that. But I've heard way too many kidnapping stories to know where this could go. I heard the guy's car moving, and I turned to make sure he wasn't turning around to follow me. I felt relieved when he drove straight and turned left out of sight. I kept walking down the block toward campus. I got to the corner of the block and was about to turn when I noticed what I was pretty sure was the same car the man was driving. It was just parked on the side of the road with the lights turned off. I tried to look in the window as I passed, but the glass was too dark to see through. I tried not to make it obvious that I was suspicious and kept walking. I got a text from the fake Stephanie person saying, why didn't you get in the car with my dad? I ignored the text and kept walking. I kept looking back to see if the car would move. When I got to a crossroads, I turned right and then ran as fast as I could toward campus. Surprisingly, nobody followed me. I made it back to campus out of breath and started walking to my dorm building. I felt like I heard footsteps following me though. I thought maybe I was just being paranoid. When I heard a piece of broken glass being kicked by someone's shoe, I knew someone was following me. I hid behind a van and stopped to listen for where the footsteps were coming from. They were a few cars away from me. Then I remembered. I never stopped sharing my location with Stephanie, or should I say, that man. I saw him. It was that old man. He was coming toward me from between two cars across from me. He yelled something that I didn't fully understand, but it sounded like he said, come back and I'll take you to her. He had to be like 60-something years old. There's no way he could catch me if I ran really fast. I easily got away from him when I ran and made it back to my dorm room. My roommate wasn't there, so I had no one to talk to about it. But when I lay in my bed, I got another text from that man, and it was shocking. It said, you're a little piece of bad word. You're lucky you got away. I would have strangled your ugly neck. I still have the screenshot. I replied saying, thanks for the threat. It's going straight to the police. And I blocked his number. I still have the conversation saved as proof, and I plan on going to the police with it soon. Hopefully, they can do something about it. When I was 18, I had a part-time job as a janitor at my high school over the summer. I would work sometimes during the day and sometimes at night, anywhere from 9 in the morning to midnight, depending on how much money I needed. Often, I would be left to lock up the building when the older janitors went home. This was before the high school had cameras in every single hallway. So one night, one of my bosses, Tom, had to leave early. That meant I'd be finishing the rest of my work alone, and I'd be locking up for the night. He told me to text him if I needed anything, like he always did, and then he left. I loved it when I was left alone because usually I'd just do half an hour of work and then just hang around on my phone or leave early and still get paid for the whole time. I definitely got away with a lot of stuff at that place. One of the things Tom asked me to do before leaving was to bring all the extra chairs in the gym from an assembly down to the basement storage room. So I figured I'd do that and then just go home. I grabbed a stack of 6 chairs and started carrying them down to the basement. The lights in the storage room were very dim. They kind of sucked. The whole basement of that school wasn't exactly nice. It felt more like a basement in a warehouse. Anyway, there were what looked like a bunch of art mannequins covered by paint cloths. You know, those big things that look like blankets. It seemed like all the school's art supplies were stored down here. I put the stack of chairs down where the rest of the chairs were stored and went back up to the gym to get more. When I came back down with more chairs, I noticed one of the mannequins was uncovered now. The blanket was removed from on top of it. I knew for sure it was covered just minutes earlier because it was one of the front ones. I texted Tom saying, "I think someone's down in the basement." He texted back, "What do you mean?" And I said, "One of the art cloths was moved." He took a minute to respond, saying no one else should be there. Then I noticed something, an art cloth tucked in the corner of the storage room, sitting outside of the light that shined in the center of the room. It was covering something for sure. I started to tiptoe over to it. When I was a few feet away from it, I realized whatever was under that cloth was moving just a tiny bit. There was definitely someone hiding under there. I ran back upstairs and locked the basement door. I texted Tom saying, "Someone is hiding under a cloth in the basement." He said to call the cops, but I told him to just come back since he had only left like 10 minutes ago. He didn't want to come back though. He told me to be brave and confront whoever was down there. So I went down to the basement again. But now the cloth was lying flat on the floor, and whoever was hiding under there was gone. But possibly the scariest thing was yet to happen. As I stood in the storage room, there were loud metal banging sounds coming from above my head. I looked up and saw dents slowly forming in the large air vents above me. Someone was crawling through the air ducts. Then they stopped right above me and kept banging, like whoever was in there was trying to break open the floor of the air vents. I don't know what was happening, but I was officially done with this. I ran up the stairs, locked up the school, and went home. I told Tom part of the truth the next day. I said I thought I saw someone in the corner, and they were gone when I went back, and I said there was nothing else to tell. Lucky for me, it was my last week there, so it wasn't my problem anymore.